Hello and welcome to my assembly video for my new Courtier model. As you can see, there are quite a lot of parts nowadays, so let's get into it. To start for building this model, you're also going to need a couple other things. The most important here is this 4mm diameter elastic paracord, nice and stretchy. You can pick this up for pretty cheap and it's quite a lot. I've built a lot of models with this. You're going to want some scissors to, cut it. You can also probably use a knife, but scissors are better. I like to use a lighter to singe the edges on that. And you're also going to want some rubber bands. Just not the whole bag, just 2 of them. We might as well start with the grip assembly here. So here I have a grip model. There are 2 models you can choose from, one with a trigger guard and one without. They're all effectively the same. Feel free to print either without supports. They're meant to be printed that way and they turn out quite nicely all around. Anyway, once you have your grip, you're also going to want to print a trigger, a lever, 2 grip hinge pins, and 2 body mounting pins. The only difference between the grip hinge pins and the body mounting pins is length, with the grip hinge pins being shorter. So to assemble, it's pretty simple. You're going to want to take your trigger here and your grip. There's a slot that goes all the way back. You're just going to want to drop that trigger in there, line that hole up right here, and take a grip hinge pin and slot it into place, just like so. That should rotate pretty well. Next, you're going to want to take a lever piece, drop it into the slot again, and maneuver it like so, so it lines up with that hole right there. Once you have that, go ahead and take your grip hinge pin and just slide it right in there like so. And that's effectively your trigger assembly. Whenever you pull the trigger, the lever should push forward like so and come back nice and smoothly. Save that and these body mounting pins for later. Let's turn our attention over to the main body again. Now, because this is a more blaster type thing with an actual grip now, you're going to want to have an orange tip on it to comply with US federal regulations. I don't know what laws are in other countries, but an orange tip is the responsible thing to do in the US at least. So whenever you print your main body, again, you may have a couple options. For example, ones without this small Picatinny rail right here, but whatever you choose, print it straight up and down like so, without supports. Print the model I labeled as the compliance plate, like so, also without supports, and the compliance plate pin. I forget exactly what I called it, but you get the idea, it's there. And assembly is as straightforward as can be. You take the plate, align it like so, and you take the main body, and you just put that right on there, and you take your pin, you can just slide it just like so. And now our main body has this wonderful and very legal orange tip. Why don't we print the string catches next? You're going to want 2 of these string catches and 1 of these crossbow hinge pins here in the files. Assembly is fairly straightforward. You're going to want to take one of your string catches, place it in this slot, so that it lines up with this hole right here in the device. Take your pin and slide it in like so. There it goes. So it'll begin to look like this. We're going to take our other string catch, place it in the other slot on the other side. I'm going to use tweezers to help me maneuver it. and then slide that pin through the rest of the way there, and you should be good to go. You'll notice that these guys are very loose in there, that is as it should be. If they're not that loose, feel free to sand them down a little bit. Them being loose is pretty influential in the operation of the device. Next, you're going to want to print a release slider and a release bar. Take the release slider, point the square hole facing downwards, orient it like this, and place it into the device. Like so. If you get it going straight up and down, you should be able to drop it, and it'll go right in there, like so. Next, you can take your release bar, and if you thread it just right, you can slide it into the rectangular hole of the release slider through the rectangular hole of the main body. Like so. Again, you're going to want this to stay firmly in place. Mild sanding might be required, although I doubt it, and I don't fully recommend it. As long as it stays here, you'll be fine. Now let's focus on making the priming arm here. You're going to want the priming arm R and the priming arm L files, in addition to a priming grip here and a priming arm hinge pin. The grip is circular, whereas the hinge pin here is fairly oblong. So I've found that the easiest way to start is to take your priming arm L and your priming arm R here. Make sure that the shark fins are facing outwards on either side. You're going to want to take your grip here and see if you can stuff it into the holes on one of the priming arms here. Sometimes it takes some force, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure why. I made the tolerances correct. But anyway, it should slot right into that circle hole in the end of it, like so. Then take the other one, make sure the shark fin is facing outwards, and stuff it in that hole as well. Like so. So now you have this thing. Next, you can rotate one side up, like so. Take your main body, take your pin, stick it in this middle of the three holes here. That should slide like right through. Take whatever this is that you made, slot one end of one hole onto the pin, please. There it goes. And then you can take this around to the other side, rotate this downwards, and clip it into place on that side too. Just like so. Now you can have this thing here that can move up and down freely, like so. Fins facing out, grip is in place. Didn't need to use a hammer this time. Really proud of that. Yeah, it's all good. Alrighty, next should be the retaining arm and the retaining arm hinge pin. The retaining arm hinge pin is the thickest of my pins today, and it doesn't exactly take a rocket scientist to figure out where everything goes. That was easy. Make sure it's loose. So a little bit of the ability to be freestanding like this is okay, but you're gonna want that to be able to drop down if you tap it. Ideally, you want it to be as loose as these string catches here, but this is okay too for the time being. All right, next let's take two rubber bands here, about yay big and yay thick. More of an art than a science to choosing these guys. Anyways, you're gonna want to take one and thread it through this hole of the retaining arm. Stuff it all the way through there. I'm going to take some tweezers to make my job easier. And you're going to want to hook these around the rear fins here and here on the model. Like so. Now, whenever you lift the retaining arm, it should want to come back down like so. Next, take the other rubber band, hook it around the one end of the release slider here, around the back of the device, and right onto the other fin of the other release slider right there. Make sure the rubber band is at least in some semblance of order there. And it should look like this, with the release rubber band here, coming up and over, and holding this retaining arm rubber band in place. Now, whenever you push forward the release slider here, it should pop back pretty easily. And later in the design, you will see that this pullback here is also what actuates the trigger back into position. Next, you're going to take some of your 4mm paracord and cut yourself a length of about 10 inches long, I'd say. That's on the generous side, just to be sure I have more than enough for what I'm about to do. Take your scissors and you just snip it there. Whenever I cut this paracord, I like to singe the edges to make sure that the black casing around the elastic here doesn't fray. So I'm just going to do this. Again, don't set it on fire, but at the same time, if you just melt all this black fuzz here, if I can get the camera to focus, well, focus on fuzz is a bit ironic, but anyways, just singe that, melt it to the elastic there, so that there's no more fuzz and everything will stay in place. Now, take one end of your paracord here and tie a knot into it. Just a standard singular knot near the end, like so. There we are, perfect. Next, you're going to want to take your length of paracord here, go into the front of the main body. You're going to want to thread the paracord through this hole in the main body, right through there, like so, till the knot catches it. Put the priming arm down, and you're going to want to hook the band around this shark fin on the retaining arm there, up around the device onto that shark fin, and from there you're going to want to thread it back into the main body through that hole right there, like so. Now we have to tension the paracord here. So what I'm going to do is pull out all the slack I can, and make sure that whenever I pluck this, it is firm but not tight on there. So there's no slack, but it's also not fully extended or even halfway extended, just under a little. There we go. Now that I have this measurement here, I'm going to place my fingers and just pinch the cord where it rests, and I'm going to unhook it from both fins here. And then I'm going to pull it tight, and where my fingers are here is where another knot in the paracord should go. So I made sure to leave myself lots of extra here so I can tie this knot very easily. There we are. Pop that knot right on there like so. And then we're going to slide that back into place. We're going to rehook it around both fins here. And now we should test it. So to test the device, now we're going to try to prime it, well, as best we can without a grip here. So we're just going to lift up the priming arm here until you hear that click. That click is the string here dropping behind onto these string catches here and getting caught. Put the priming arm down here, and now push on the release slider, and it should fire. Do that again. Make sure that the string, whenever it is primed, is fully extended. Make sure that there's not over tension in the string here, and that your print isn't about to break. I think I tensioned it pretty well the first time, so I'm just gonna go with this. If I ever need more power from the device, or if I think it's lacking, I can always come back and tension this string later. Well, I probably made this video a little bit wrong, because we're going to have to take off this rubber band here that pulls the release slider back for this next step, because now it's time to attach the grip here. So we're going to take our body mounting pins and our grip that we had saved from earlier. We're going to take our main body and slide the release bar all the way forward. Next, we're going to take our grip and just place it like so. Should slot really easily into place. And then we can, if it doesn't fall apart on me, we can take our pins and make sure it'll stay like that. So just put them into the appropriate holes. And there we are. Now we can take our rubber band here that we took off a second ago and replace it onto the release bar. Now, if everything was built properly, whenever you pull the trigger, that release bar should flick forward and these string catches should drop down like so. Now that you've built everything, you can continue to test the tensioning if you like. And if you think it's good, we're gonna trim that annoying piece of paracord still sticking out there. So I'm going to unhook it, pull it out, take some scissors, fix my problems, burn my problems, and return everything to how it was previously. There it goes, like so. And that, my friends, is the assembly all completed. I think it looks pretty nice. Certainly works pretty well. Speaking of which, I should probably go over how it works. So the Courtier here, much like my earlier Aristocrat model, can take any ammo type imaginable. And indeed, some things that aren't ammo. But don't do that. Don't be an idiot. To operate the device, simply actuate the lever here until it clicks, like so. Load your ammo type in. The Courtier can use rival rounds, Mega XL, normal darts and everything, but it works best with rival rounds and Mega darts. Then it's a matter of, well, it's got a trigger and it's primed, so you can probably figure out what to do next. Then you can just load anything else. Basically, if it fits under the retaining arm, just stick it where it needs to go, and it'll work just fine. Lastly, there is a tiny Picatinny attachment right here. It is very small and hardly practical at all, so that's why there's a main body file in the kit without it. I just thought it was very amusing to put a very tiny Picatinny rail right here on this flat space when I was designing it. And it turns out much to my amusement, that I made these Picatinny rail attachment bit things here on my Printables site, and it turns out that they actually fit just so on it. So if you really want a tactical flashlight holder on this thing, you certainly may. It amuses me to no end.